Hey, what's up, guys? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. Today, going to be discussing the what's next on the undefeated former two-time super middleweight champion David Benavidez, following his return to the ring on Saturday, March 13th, when he main evented a Showtime card and scored an 11th round, I believe it was, TKO of Ronald Ellis Jr. as he remained undefeated, returned officially to 168 after missing weight in his previous fight in August of last year against Romer Angulo, and which costed him his world title again. So Benavidez, you know, a lot of people want to see the dedication, and if he is really trying to get or be champion again at 168, going against Ronald Ellis, you know, who we really didn't know too much about. You know, we wanted to see if Ellis was the real deal following a kind of a gift injury knockout win over Matt Korobov in December. So, or I think it was November or December. So I think both questions were kind of answered. Benavidez came in on weight. He was disciplined, and he pretty much controlled and dominated the action. But Ronald Ellis also showed that he's got a lot of heart, he's got a good chin, and that he could land some punches too on Benavidez. So wasn't Benavidez's best performance, but he got the win nonetheless, and is undefeated and moving forward towards possibly another world title shot. Now, there was talk originally after the fight that we could see Benavidez and Jamal Charlo, who said bring the fight on, but then he had to eat his words as that didn't happen. That fight's not going to happen now. So, you know, disappointed. I wanted to see if that fight could materialize at 168, but I'm not surprised. Charlo is a very protected fighter by Al Heyman and the PBC, and they're not going to take the risk before a potential Canelo fight, especially if what they're saying is true, which is a potential unification bout with Triple G Gennady Golovkin. That's a bigger fight at a weight that he's already at. And he also wants to stay in line for Canelo. He's not going to take that risk against Benavidez. So that one's off the table for now. But let's sit back and go through the top 10 and see what's next for David Benavidez, the undefeated former two-time champion. So we go through the top 10. We start with number 1, the unified champ, Canelo Alvarez. He's not getting Canelo next. The earliest he would get Canelo would be December, if Canelo even wanted to fight him, which I don't think Canelo right now, it's just not in the cards. The fight doesn't even make sense for Canelo, you know? So Canelo's goal is to go after Undisputed. He's got to beat Billy Joe Saunders in May. That's his next fight, and then he's got to go through Caleb Plant in September if he wants to become Undisputed. So right now, Benavidez is not on his radar. That won't happen next. Number 2 is Daniel Jacobs. You know, I don't see this fight happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got this fight. And the reason I'm saying that is Daniel Jacobs is about impressing people and moving back towards a Canelo-type fight or Triple G rematch, or Canelo rematch. But he doesn't have any options right now. He's no longer technically with DAZN, but he can re-sign with them if he wants. But he is managed by Al Heyman. And, you know, so he could sign and fight kind of right now. He's kind of a free agent. So does he want to go after the former champ Benavidez? That might be the only option he has if he wants a big name next. He looked like crap in his last fight against Gabriel Rosado. I don't think he's going to want a guy of the talent of Benavidez, but he might be forced or backed into the corner of that kind of fight at some point this year. It might not be next, but maybe later in the year. So we got to see. I'm leaning towards a no, but I wouldn't completely rule it out either. Number 3 is Callum Smith. Now, Callum Smith, I think, would fight Benavidez, maybe, but Benavidez would have to want this fight, and I'm just not sure he does. But he should. You know, Callum Smith's coming off a loss to Canelo. What if Benavidez could knock out Callum Smith? If he could knock him out, he could be like, hey, I did something you can't, and he would get higher demand to get that fight that he wants with Canelo. But I don't think the fight's going to materialize between Smith and Benavidez, but I wish it did. I think it's a good matchup. Number 4 is the undefeated, or well, it is Benavidez is number 4. Number 5 is undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant. Plant is not going to risk fighting Benavidez next when he has a potential Canelo fight on the radar for September. It's just not going to happen, so I don't see this one. Number 6 is the undefeated WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders is fighting Canelo next. Even if he were to beat Canelo, I'm sure there's a rematch clause in the contract, and I don't think he would give Benavidez a shot, so this fight's off the table. Number 7 is former world title challenger John Ryder. John Ryder seems to be in line to fight David Morrell for the WBA regular championship next, so I don't see Benavidez and Ryder. Number 8 is Lionel Thompson. Now this fight is interesting. I think this fight has potential right here. If Benavidez cannot get a big fight, say against Anthony Durrell or one of the other top guys, Lionel Thompson has fought with the PBC, and this is a fight that almost happened last year in April when Benavidez was looking for an opponent. So Thompson had moved in front as a front runner for a time being there before Benavidez ended up deciding on Romer Angulo. So wouldn't completely rule it out because it's an easy fight to make, but Thompson is a tricky fighter, so I think Benavidez would try to look at other things first, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if this one happens. Number 9 is Anthony Durrell, I believe, and he's tied for 9th, I think, with Kyrone Davis. Now, those are both fights right there. I wouldn't be surprised. A rematch with Durrell to become the mandatory number 1 challenger. The WBC might order that, so that might go down. That's not a bad matchup. And then Kyrone Davis coming off the draw against Durrell. Maybe the WBC gives him a crack if Durrell doesn't want to fight Benavidez. So, gotta wait to see. Benavidez, I think, will have options. I really think anybody in the top 5, 6, there's no options there. But after that, I can see Lionel Thompson. I can see a rematch with Durrell or a fight with Kyrone Davis. And again, I wouldn't completely rule out a fight with Daniel Jacobs. But Benavidez is definitely on the verge of getting into an eliminator, and which possibly could lead him to Canelo late in the year, possibly next year. We'll see what happens. But that's it. That's what's next on the undefeated former 2-time super middleweight champ, David Benavidez. Hope you guys enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.